Robert Brown. So this is another. Yes,
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 you said that he also used a primitive microscope, but there was improved microscope.
yes, but not what I meant primitive is that not so modern like the present compound microscope and electron microscope. Yes, Leeuwenhoek, yes, correct only what you told. Leeuwenhoek used an improved microscope better than Robert Hooke he used. But still, when you compare with the present forms, present microscopes are more modern. Modern means it will magnify more things you can see. That was not present in case of Leeuwenhoek's microscope. But yes, he used a microscope. Yes, he could only good. He used better than Robert Hooke. Okay. Next is about Robert Brown. I hope you wrote down this point about Anton van Leeuwenhoek. Now we'll tell about Robert Brown. So he's another Robert. Robert Brown. Robert Brown in the year 1831. So it is later this was discovered. He discovered nucleus. He discovered nucleus in the cell because he might have used more improved microscope. That's why he was able to find out nucleus in the microscope. So he found nucleus inside the cell in 1831. And then comes another scientist, Purkinje. Purkinje in 1839 coined the word protoplasm for fluid substance present inside the cell. Now coming to the next discovery. It is not an invention. What is the difference between invention and discovery? You know what is the difference between the terms invention and discovery?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, miss.
Hmm. Yes, what is that? What is the difference?
Ma'am, invention means they will make new find new things, ma'am. Discovery means discovery means they observe something.
Yes. Discovery means what is already present. Already it is present, they found it out. Nucleus was already present inside the cell. Whereas invention means something new when you make it, which never existed before. New when you make it, it is called invention. Now, what we are learning is nothing about invention. We are learning about discovery. So, Perkin J, as their microscope started to improve, they started seeing new things. So, Robert Brown found it in 1831 nucleus. Perkin J in 1839, that means after several years, he found out protoplasm inside the cell. Now, what is protoplasm? In the cell, there is a liquid portion in every plant cell and animal cell, bacterial cell. Liquid is there. That liquid portion is one liquid portion is there inside the nucleus also. Now, this is the nucleus. Center part is called nucleus. So, inside the nucleus is there is one liquid. Surrounding the nucleus also there is liquid. So, the liquid inside nucleus is called nucleoplasm, whereas the liquid outside the nucleus is called cytoplasm. Now, when you combine these two, when you add cytoplasm plus nucleoplasm together, they are called as protoplasm. So, this protoplasm was discovered by Purkinje in the year 1839. Then, have you noted down, children? Robert Brown and Purkinje. What did they find? That you have to write down. Finished?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Then I will rub it off. Then we'll come to the next discovery. Who discovered? They told about cell theory. They made one theory this time. And this theory was made up of a team of scientists. They combined together and last they were called as cell theory. So the heading will be cell theory. The first person or the scientist to write something about this theory was Schleiden. Schleiden. Schleiden in 1839, what he said is all plants are made up of cells. He said is that all plants are made of cells. Then the next, his friend is there. His friend's name is Schwann. Schwann. Next year, that is in 1839, he told that animals are made of cells. He found out animals, no skin and all, he found that, and he told animals are also made of cells. So then both of them combine the theory. First point will be all plants and animals are made up of cells, like that. So they are both are biologists. Biologists means those who study about living things. So Schleiden in 1839 and Schwann in 1838, Schwann in 1839. What they told us, all plants and animals are composed of cells. This was their theory. Later, next scientist came. His name is Virchow. Full name is Rudolf Virchow. Rudolf Virchow in 1855 suggested that so Rudolf Virchow extended the theory. First, who told the theory is these two scientists, Schleiden and Schwann. They told that all plants and animals are made up of cells. Now, later, the cell theory was further expanded by Rudolf Virchow in 1855. According to them, all cells exist from pre existing cells, or all cells arise from pre existing cells. That was given by Virchow. So, Virchow told that all cells arise from pre existing cells. Wrote down, children, this fact about Virchow? Did you write down? Write down, okay. Virchow told that all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now, what is the meaning of this is like this. Now, there is one cell. I have drawn here one cell. This cell came from where? So, this is a daughter cell. This is one of the daughter cells. So, where did this cell come from? So, this cell came from division of another mother cell. So, there was a mother cell here. That cell divided into two parts. When they divide into two parts, they will get two cells here, like this. So, all the cells, so this is that cell here, and this is the other cell here, which means that every cell, they are coming from one parent cell like this. So, in this case, this is a parent cell. All cells arise from a parent cell. Pre-existing means it was present earlier. For example, our mother, father cells, from them we came. We came from our parent cell. That is the meaning of this extension what Virchow told. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. Now this is an example of all plants are made up of cells. This is the structure of onion peel cells. So here we can see plant cell, in that onion peel cells are there. That means you see this onion what we eat, no, that one's under the microscope, that peel looks like this. So this, in this one cell, if you see what are the structures present, they are like this. So here you can see I'm outlining now. This part is called, since it's a plant cell, plant cells will have cell wall. So we can see here cell wall. Inside the under the cell wall, after cell wall, the next what covering comes, I'm drawing now with blue. Can you see, children?
Yes, miss.
Ha,
Miss.
yes, this lining is called plasma membrane. So after cell wall, inside we will get plasma membrane. Now instead of plasma membrane, there is another word. It is also called cell membrane. So you can either call it as plasma membrane or cell membrane. And now the what is present inside this liquid is called, what is this liquid called as? Can you tell me? The liquid part is called as what?
Cytoplasm.
Very good. It is called as cytoplasm. We can also see something here. Inside we can see deeply stained or
Clear.
yes, good. It is called, this and all is called nucleus. Now there are more cell organelles. We call it as organelles. Organelles, because they are small in size than organ. Organ means our stomach is an organ, liver is another organ, kidney is another organ, lung, heart, all are organs. But this is inside the cell, no? Nucleuses. So they are very small. That's why we name it as organelle. Just like ducks, baby is called as duckling, like that. This is smaller to organ, so we call them as organelle. Now we saw in the onion peel only one organelle, that is nucleus. That why, you know? Because we are seeing it under compound microscope. We are seeing it under compound microscope. This much only we can see. The same peel, if you're keeping it under electron microscope, that is a bigger microscope with about 10 million times magnification. So if you keep the same thing under electron microscope, rest of the organelles also you can see. You might have learned in 7th or 8th about mitochondria, chloroplast, those things are, yes, yes, all those cell organelles also you will be able to find. But compound microscope, this much only we can see. I'm talking about compound microscope, so we'll see this. This is a compound microscope. These are the parts of compound microscope. So compound microscope consists of these parts. This is eyepiece lens because it is through this we look into. That's why it's called eyepiece lens. Its magnification is 10x. We say 10x because 10 times more it means. This is body tube. Body tube. So body tube is having one arm. Arm means here only we catch with our fingers. No, we catch here. This is called arm. ARM. On this arm there are some screws. This screw is called coarse adjustment screw. Coarse adjustment screw will help us to lift and move the body tube up and down, but we have to be careful. We are keeping glass slide here. When you move up and down, make sure that these lenses don't break the slide. So these are lenses which are near the slide when you keep. Like if you're keeping onion peel here, then these lenses are called objective lens. Lenses are called objective because it is facing the object. And the lens which is facing the eyes is called eyepiece lens. Objective lenses, two types of magnification is present, okay, in objective. One is 10x magnification, that will we will be able to see just a little bit, we will be able to see more. If you want magnification after keeping 10x, we have to rotate this. This is rotating. This is called revolving nose piece. It can move. You can move it, and you can move it to 40x magnification. 40x is the highest magnification for objective lens. Now there is this part which is called as condenser. Condenser means every microscope requires light. So we have to open the window, allow some light to come inside. Otherwise, the specimen what you have kept will look dark. So they will condense the light and show it onto the image. Sorry, object, onto the object. Then there is mirror. Mirror is there for the same purpose. It is to reflect the light. Like if the window is somewhere here means from there it will get reflected and it can go towards the object. This is the base of the microscope where it sits. Then another screw is there. This screw is called fine adjustment screw. This screw is called fine adjustment screw. Means if the image you're seeing is looking blur, not clear, so you can turn this fine adjustment screw to make it more clear. So these are the parts of a compound microscope. Important parts are eyepiece lens, objective lens, then two screws are there, coarse adjustment screw, fine adjustment screw, then mirror. That much is important for you for your syllabus. Okay. Now some examples of unicellular organisms. Unicellular organisms, these are the examples. Well, you know what is this unicellular organism?
Yes,
This one, what is it? Yes.
yes,
This is what organism? You know what is this? What I'm showing? Ha, yes. So unicellular organism means they are made up of only one cell, and this is paramecium. Paramecium. And what you see here are unicellular bacteria. Some bacteria, they are this shape, bacteria. And then we have amoeba. Down we have the amoeba. So this is amoeba. 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 Amoeba can change its shape. It can keep changing. It is but one cell. Now this is another unicellular organism and it is called as Chlamydomonas. Chlamydomonas. It has chlorophyll. That's why it appears green in color. It is also one cell. So when they ask you about unicellular organisms, you can write these examples: Paramecium, unicellular bacteria, amoeba, Chlamydomonas. Any one or two will do. Now with the this thing, what is it? Multicellular organism. I'll stop the class. Okay. Multicellular organisms, all plants, animals, fungi. So this is a multicellular fungi. What you see here. There, that is this. This is called as mushroom. Mushroom is made of many cells inside. This is a tree. It is made of many cells. It is a giraffe. It is also made of many cells. So all plants, animals and fungi. All plants, animals, fungi, they are multicellular. Fungi, they are multicellular. But you know, there are some exceptions. Yeast is a unicellular animal. Now you see our body's cells. Our body has got some cell. This is a textbook image. You can see in the textbook also same thing. See the different shapes of cells. The smooth muscle cell is like this. It is spindle shape. Smooth muscle cells are found inside our stomach. Soft organs. Then these are our blood cells. They are round in shape. This is our nerve cell. Nerve cell, you see it is branched. Then you can see egg or ovum, that is round. Bone cells are again branched. This is sperm cell. Sperm is the gamete which will fuse with the egg to form baby or zygote. So look at the shape. Shape is different. Now this is fat cell which is present under our skin. So these are the different shapes of the cells, and with this today's class is over. Thank you children.